how you see policy towards Burma, both from an Indian point of view, but also from a global point of view, how you see that moving forwards, and whether you can see any way of resolving the current problems there.
Yeah, Burma is our immediate neighbor and situated on a very volatile border of northeast. One, this is the geopolitical strategic location. Then the economic, Burma is very economically could be our good partner, because we are the end users of energy, gas they have, which we are interested in. Naturally, our neighbor has something which we can use, so India becomes immediately relevant. Then our own security. So we want stable, democratic Burma, Myanmar. But the situation so far, military junta or isolation, we are not for isolation because it doesn't work. Americans and EU or other European countries, they follow the policy of isolation over. It has not worked so far. India is interested in homegrown, democratic, open society and open political establishment. But it's not only one. America and Europe and all of the democratic, they have been supporting other military rulers everywhere. So there is some contradiction. But India has good relations, and they want good relations because we have much to share with our Indian neighbor. Rather than isolation, we are interested for engagement.
Can I come back? Do you think, though, that in the case of Burma, and if you look at some other historical examples where you've had either a very authoritarian or a military dictatorship in charge of a country, running a country, sometimes you've quite often had moderates within that who have gradually taken this path towards democracy. They've started to move their countries in that direction. But in the case of Burma, certainly from what I've read about the situation, and you obviously know far more about it from the Indian perspective, but I don't really see those voices within the Burmese regime. The fact that these people have a long track record of taking a very hard line, an authoritarian response towards anybody who comes up with even the slightest bit of dissent, doesn't really fill me with very much confidence that there are moderating voices within that regime, people who are prepared to argue for the regime to move in a more democratic direction, to start to make these changes. I'm interested if you think that there are voices, influences within the Burmese regime which could start moving in that direction, because I can't see them myself.
Yeah, that's what I say, that India as a declared policy, they want democratic establishment, but homegrown, not imposed by somebody. That's why I say, if we corner Burma or just simply say sanctions, this and that, it doesn't work. We have to deal with the people, those who are on ground. At the same time, tell them that yes, please slowly come, have political adjustment, political accommodation on both the sides. Like Japan, in ASEAN, if they, though Burma, Myanmar is a member of ASEAN, but if they say no, we cannot give them support, we cannot give them aid, we cannot give them economic assistance, ultimately it doesn't help.
I find India's neighboring countries more or less 4 or 5. When I say 4 or 5, I'm excluding Bangladesh because it is recently experiencing democratic trends, but still once upon a time it was governed by a dictator. So 4 or 5 authoritarian dictatorial regimes governing the countries of your neighborhood. And India is having really very strong history of democracy. Just wanted to know why this trend has not been exported to the neighboring countries, because usually these political systems, they have the tendency to be imported or exported or to be taken up by the neighboring countries, whereas it is not happening in South Asia. Countries which I'm marking are like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal is also more or less king is more authoritative there as well as Burma.
Yeah, it's a very good observation you have made. Naturally, personally, I am not interested in exporting democracy or importing democracy. Yes, democratic system is well accepted system, more functional system. That's why we say. But governmental systems could be different. But naturally, as you have said, I am equally the India, large country, a democratic system is functioning. We have 650 million voters, and the systems are functioning very well. But it could not be done in Bangladesh or in Pakistan, or let us say up to some extent in Nepal because of kingdom. It should be a matter of concern to anyone. It should be a matter of concern not only to India. Naturally, it's not a very healthy trend. I think international community, they have also something to do in this regard. It so happened in Pakistan after Ayub that in one way or the other, whenever there is a problem in that area, it remained a problematic area with Afghanistan, with Russia, with Soviet Union, and then Taliban and fundamentalism. But Pakistan got all the support from the established democracies in one way or the other. Under one pretext or the other, that instability to this regime will be instability for everybody. So, in one way or the other, the situation became like that Pakistan always got support rather than some punishment.
Maybe Pakistan had all those things because the Western friends wanted those.
Exactly, that's what I say. It is a matter of concern for India that in our neighborhood, if it's a democratic establishment, it's good, stable governments are available, we are happy. So I think the international community has to see that in one way or the other.
Can I ask another question?
Yes, please.
Then what if I ask the same question in a different way? These dictatorial or authoritarian regimes, have they in any way affected your democratic process? Because they, India in the hub of the affairs, and it is encircled by all dictatorial. I don't mean all, but most of.
India is a large country. They are smaller countries. One. Secondly, I think the constitutional arrangements in India, administrative arrangements in India are fortunately got established very well, and it's functioning very well. Just to give an example, India, the strongest prime minister was thrown out by the judiciary after Indira Gandhi. Judiciary is functioning very independently. The Prime Minister, President can be a Muslim, can be a Sikh, can be a Christian, can be anything. Military generals could be a Sikh, it could be a Christian, it could be a Muslim, there is no problem. So all the systems are working very thoroughly. And yes, it